All right, good evening. Look at this crowd coming out on a rainy night to see how the candidates are going to tell you about what their roles are, which is exciting. We're excited about this, and we've been working on it for some time now. My name is Mike McKnight. I'm the moderator for this. And before we get going, why don't we do the Pledge of Allegiance. Chris, if you could lead us in that. To the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you, Chris. All right, I want to thank all of the candidates. It's not easy to decide that you're going to throw your hat in the ring and run for public office. And some of these folks have been doing it for some time and are still here coming out to tell you about what either the board is doing or what they're about and what they're running for. We have one contested race tonight, which is going to be interesting. But we also have planning board members here. We have Board of Selectmen, we have Board of Health, and School Committee on the agenda. So tonight we have 5 boards, and we have 6 candidates. So this will be an interesting night. We have 2 people who wanted to be here as candidates but could not. And what we're going to do is they have sent in their opening statement and the answers to the questions. And so Chris has kindly, part of our committee, has kindly offered to read those as we go through. So you're going to hear from 2 members who are not here tonight. I'd also like to thank Cable 8 and all those who are watching, because we have a very good crowd here tonight, but this will be recorded and it will be out there for people to view. So if you know of people who couldn't make it tonight, please let them know that Cable 8 will be up and running and that they can hear from the candidates at their leisure through the recording. We have a number of questions that were developed with the help of the citizens of Wrentham, as well as the committee. So I think we've put together a tier of questions, roughly 5 per candidate or for position. And for those, we got great input. And then we brought that into the committee and we pulled those together and we said, let's see what the right questions are. And so it's a very well-rounded set of questions, which is great. We've got committee members and town residents who are offering those up. I'd just like to say, I don't think we're going to have any issues here, but when we're dealing with differences of opinion, it's always good to hear those. I know that any time that I listen to something that's not an opinion that I have, I learn something. And so it's good to hear what the candidates are going to say. But in a forum like this, let's just make sure that we listen, because we might learn something, and we might learn a different point of view, or we might learn something about a candidate that we didn't know. And ultimately, it's up to you when you go to the voting box to check the box of the person that you think is going to represent the town of Wrentham and the residents of Wrentham. So this is an opportunity to learn and to understand and to put your check box where it really means something. We're going to allow 1 to 2 minutes as an opening statement for each candidate. We're going to allow 1 to 2 minutes for the answers to the questions. As I said, there's roughly 5 of those. And then we'll do a little follow-up with each one just to see if there was something that they missed. You also have the opportunity, if there's something that you didn't hear or you have a question on a candidate, I think most of them will be here for a few minutes afterwards. Maybe I'm volunteering them. But feel free to go up and ask them the question or follow up with them, because we're not going to get all the questions that were out there answered tonight. But we are going to get questions, hopefully that will get the majority of, people's answers, and for you to understand who the candidate is and what their perspectives are. So feel free to talk to the candidates. We're going to pick from the hat for the candidates. They don't know which order we're going in, so that's a little bit of a twist tonight, and we'll see how that goes. And so with that said, I think we're going to get going. Somebody needs that. Who doesn't want to sit down at the table? All right.
All right.
Not only is he reading the statements, he's
Board of Health.
Oh.
Board of Health.
Sarah, I said to Sarah, I said, you probably won't feel too bad because you'll have somebody sitting at the table. And I remembered that she's the only candidate for Board of Health. So Sarah Shaw, Board of Health, we have 1 opening and 1 candidate. And so really, first, we're going to ask every candidate to do this, but yes. Just a couple of minutes, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe how long you've lived in town, what personal or business experience you might have that would lend yourself to this role, and then what made you decide?
Well, my name is Sarah Shaw, and I lived in Wrentham for 5 years, and I'm running for the open seat for the Board of Health. I'm a medical laboratory scientist with 30-plus years experience working in clinical labs at hospitals across the country. I moved to Wrentham here because I enjoyed the rural character and the affordability of this town. I'm originally from here, but I moved away from this area for about 15 years, and I moved back home to take care of my father as a caregiver, so I ended up back here. I've always been interested in matters of public health and the environment, and I've done volunteerism, and so when the opportunity arose, I wanted to continue with that being a volunteer, or I wanted to run for this position. I believe in using facts and common sense to find the solutions. So I hope to do that as a member of the Board of Health. So I think science is sort of losing its place in in the world nowadays. So I just wanted to stand up for science, and facts. So.
Great. Thank you for that. All right, we'll jump into the questions.
Okay.
Now that the nerves are gone, right? You're all set.
Yeah.
Feel free to reference notes. This is be casual here and enjoy the evening. For the Board of Health, how do you balance enforcement of health regulations with education and cooperation for residents and businesses?
I would think that you could definitely look at the mass.gov and find out what the state regulations are, and have them be helpful as a tool, as a resource to find out what you need to do for the matter at hand. So different resources that you could use. There's a lot out there that you can use.
As a follow-up, just a question, do you think there's enough education out there, and do you get cooperation from the residents and the businesses as a Board of Health agent?
I would think that you would get a lot of cooperation, and because they wouldn't get their certifications if they weren't being clean, healthy establishments in restaurants, for instance. Yes, I do think there's I don't think that there would be any resistance to recommendations from the Board of Health.
Okay, good. All right. Question 2. What emerging public health risks, environmental, behavioral, or demographic, should Wrentham be preparing for now?
Well, certainly measles is affecting the Commonwealth. There's 2 people that have been tested positive for measles in the state. And so you don't really, it's kind of a low risk here because Massachusetts is 98% vaccinated, and so that is a good way to prevent measles. So that's one emerging threat that we just should look out for. And if we need to put out information, you could put out in a YouTube video or post on Cable 8, some helpful tips on how to manage that virus, if it enters into your family. And also another issue that's been happening is this herbal substance called kratom. And I guess someone was asking me to look into that. It's a herbal substance you can buy at Cumberland Farms or Gulf stations in the state, and they're trying to ban it. And they have successfully banned it in Rhode Island and Vermont. But it's like similar to opioid effects. And so, people take it recreational. It's supposed to be like a stimulant, but that's something to be aware of. I don't know if anybody's heard of that drug. It comes in a liquid drink form. Kids buy it at the store. Yeah.
I did not know.
It's called kratom, Kratom.
More stuff out there than
most of us know
about, right?
Can I interrupt and ask a quick question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No, I know, Jeanette. We're not really doing questions at this point, but maybe a follow-up right at the end. Okay? All right. Sorry, Jeanette.
I don't want to scare them. I don't want to scare everybody. It's not really a big deal, but
I know.
This doesn't seem like the crowd for Kratom.
I know, I'm sorry, yeah. I know, right? But that's an emerging, Someone asked me to look into it. I was given an email regarding it, so.
Okay. I'm going to write. How do you spell it? We'll have to get that.
Kratom.
Okay. We'll look into it.
Okay.
All right. No more surprises. All right. What role does the Board of Health have in ensuring the future development activities remain compliant with EPA regulations and aim to preserve citizens' health, like air and water quality?
I would think they would want to follow all the regulations that are already established. Massachusetts has really good regulations regarding septic and Title V and things like that, wetlands. I think it must be just approve, follow along the guidelines that are already out there.
Is there anything that you're concerned about along those lines with what's happening in our town? Water quality, air quality?
Well, certainly there's the problem with PFAS, which is the forever chemicals, and there's some communities in Massachusetts that have a higher level of those, but I don't think Wrentham has a problem right now that I can see, although I haven't really looked into where it is now, but, that's a concern.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about PFAS.
Right.
All right. Question 4, how could the Board of Health collaborate with the Planning Board or developers to ensure safe and healthy community through its growth? And the noted question there is there's a development going on right now around Crosby Valve, and there's a lot of talk about some environmental pollution. And I'm just curious if you or the board collaborate with the Planning Board, or is there more opportunity to collaborate with the Planning Board?
That is a question that I'm not sure of because I've only been listening to a few of the meetings online, but I'm sure that the Board of Health would listen to the Planning Board meetings and kind of find out what the issues are and try to do research on that and help out in that situation. But I'm not really sure at this time how to answer that.
Okay. And then what does effective public communication look like during health-related incidents or regulatory changes?
Well, there's a lot of really good things you could do. You could put out YouTube videos or go on Cable 8 and post things in the library, like sheets, information sheets and things like that in schools and things that need to be addressed in a public place, put in a public place so they can be seen by everybody.
Okay. I got one question that's not on your current list.
Okay.
But I'm curious because you mentioned you've been on the Board of Health committee, right? Or part of the Board of Health for some time now.
Me?
Yes.
I've never been on the Board of Health.
All right. I thought you said that at the start, so that's my error.
Oh, no.
Okay.
This would be my first time ever running.
Existing members, but I thought you had said that, and that surprised me, so I was going to ask you a different question. All right, we're going to break our first rule. We weren't going to take audience questions. Maybe we keep those, but we have a minute. So, Jeanette Matter?
So is that kratom, is that similar to those little 5-hour energy vials that the kids used to take all the time?
You should repeat the question for Cable 8.
Yes, the question was, is that the kratom similar to that 5-hour energy drink? No, those are not the same as those. No, it's a different herb that comes from Southeast Asia. And they put it in either pill form or in a little liquid drink. I'm not really sure how it's sold, but I know that down the Cape they're having a little issues with that, So they're trying to work on banning it just because it could become addictive to the kids, could get addicted to it. And now they're asking people to be over 21 in order to purchase it. So it makes it a little bit of a barrier to someone who kind of wants to buy it,
Okay. Thank you. So last question. Is there anything you want to tell the audience here, Cable 8 viewers, about your candidacy or what you're trying to do for the town of Wrentham on this role? A summary, kind of a summary if you want.
Yeah, I really enjoy living in Wrentham, and I like the rural aspect of this town, and I just want to make sure that we, have a clean and healthy town, and I just hope that, I can be a part of helping to maintain the integrity of this town, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you if you ever have any problems or any questions, or, the Board of Health isn't really a big department, but,
It's kind of quiet. It sits there and does its thing.
kind of quiet, yeah, but you never know. COVID happened in 2020, so, but.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the first spot.
All right, who's next? There's only two in there.
It's two because
School committee. School
okay.
committee.
So for school committee, we are doing Wrentham Elementary and KP. The reason we're doing that is many of the questions are the same. There is one different question for KP as it relates to something that they deal with that Wrentham doesn't. And in this regard, we are reading Rebecca Weber's sent in introduction as well as the answers to the questions. And Veronica Gonzalez is on the ticket as well for KP School Committee. So when we go through this, Chris will be reading their responses. He'll indicate exactly who he's reading this response to each time so that you don't get mixed up between the two. Is that clear? Clear as mud? Clear as a rainy night with snow. How you doing? How are you?
I'm okay. Long day.
Get on in here.
What's that?
Get on in here.
Yeah. All right. We can put the planning board back in the bucket because he had called and said he might be a little bit late, so we didn't want to pull planning board where there's two candidates and only have one. So.
We're only going to vote for Chuck anyway, so.
You're going to vote for Chuck twice?
Yeah. Early and often.
All right. We're going to go back and forth on this. So we're going to start with the folks in the audience, on the panel here, and then move. So Cynthia, we're going to start with you. Can you give us a little bit of an understanding about yourself, how long you've lived here in Wrentham, any business or personal experience that helped you in this, and then the reason that you decided to run, or if you're, why you're running?
Yep, I'm Cindy Fuller. I've lived in Wrentham my whole life. I attended the Wrentham Public Schools, and I taught in the Wrentham Public Schools for 35 years. I've been on the school committee for about a year and a half. I was appointed in November of 24 to fulfill a seat that was vacated. And then I was elected the next April for a one-year term. So I'm running to continue the journey on the school committee to keep some consistency on the committee. I've enjoyed the time I've had there. I've been on subcommittees that I've really enjoyed. I think I have the background that I have, the expertise in teaching. I feel like I'm a great candidate for that position to continue on.
Great, thank you. We're going to read from one of these to mix it up a little bit.
This is going to be a little awkward. These are written in first person, so these are statements written by the candidate. So this is on behalf of Rebecca Weber, who's running for Wrentham Elementary School Committee. I sincerely apologize for my absence from tonight's candidate forum, but I unfortunately had a prior engagement to attend in an out-of-state conference. Let me start with a brief intro of who I am. My name is Rebecca Weber. I'm running for a seat on the Wrentham Elementary School Committee. I am a mom of two magnificent little children who attend Delaney, one in kindergarten and one in second grade. I originally grew up in California and met my husband in his time stationed there. We decided upon his transfer from the military, we would move back to his hometown of Wrentham to plant our roots. In 2016, we made that dream a reality when we moved into our first home. During that time, I worked as an assistant in a local daycare center and absolutely loved watching them grow and discover. However, we had plans to start our own family. Plans shifted when I began work as an office manager for my husband's family company, and later added the full-time job of motherhood. We are deeply rooted in this community, and like many others, would like to continue to see Wrentham be a place to raise family, a great place to raise family. I have dedicated the last 8 years to raising my babies, and I have been one of the hardest and most rewarding adventures of my life. But because of this, I have not had much time to dedicate back to the community. Now that my children are starting their journey into WPS system, I have the ability to give back, and I would be honored to give back to one of Wrentham's great treasures, our kids. As a mom, I understand how overwhelming it can be sending such a treasured piece of your heart away for the day. To trust teachers with care for them as deeply as you do, to make sure they are eating nutritious meals, or being kind to their peers as you know you have taught them to do so. All of our children deserve the best possible place that will provide them with the opportunity to flourish and foundation to flourish. I'm hopeful that joining the school committee will allow me to help continue to bring a voice of transparency for our community's values to ensure that our students are put first. Again, that's Rebecca Weber running for Wrentham Elementary School Committee.
Great. Thank you for doing that, Chris. All right, Larry.
So my name's Larry Green, and running for Wrentham Elementary School Committee. My wife and I moved to Wrentham in 2016. 10 years ago, we moved back here to the town where she was born and raised. My in-laws made a long-term commitment to this town almost 45 years ago. And the last 6 years or so, as our kids have started to get a little bit older, I have a 6th grader, a 3rd grader, and a preschooler at Project Blossom over at Delaney. Ever since 2019, I've been getting more and more involved. I've done youth sport coaching. I see a few familiar faces in the audience through that venue. And last year, started to take my involvement a little bit further. My fellow parents elected me as their representative to the school council, the elementary school council at Delaney, which is an advisory board, so to speak, to this school committee that I'm running for. Professionally, I am the lead financial advisor of a wealth management practice, and I feel that my finance background gives me the unique experience that I need to combine with my involvement, my love for the town, the schools, and pursue the Wrentham School Committee opportunity here. When I made the decision to run, it was probably late last fall, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I thought about it, talked to other parents about it, and started to get a little more of a better understanding of what goes on at the school committee, what they do, things like that. And last fall was really probably when everything came together and I made the decision to run. I'll tell you a quick story. It was late fall. I was on the frozen tundra behind the American Legion, watching one of my girls play field hockey. And I was talking to another parent who's pretty involved also. And as we were talking about our involvement with coaching sports and, just getting involved in the school, I have always volunteered to chaperone field trips and things like that. This parent kind of remarked to me that they thought I'd be someone who could really be helpful to the school committee, and it's something that I should really pursue. I thought more and more about it, and it's something where I was, obviously I'd love to get more and more involved, and that's a good natural next step for me to do so. I wanted to be involved, though, in a way that also benefits the schools and benefits the town. Again, my professional background combined with the care that I have for the educational process, that of my kids, made me decide, this is a no-brainer. I'm pursuing this. Here we are.
Very good. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
All right, this is the statement from Veronica Gonzalez, running for King Philip School Committee. I am unfortunately unable to attend tonight's forum because I will be at a high school track banquet with my son who competed this season as a freshman. I'm very excited about the opportunity to continue to serve our community by serving the King Philip School Committee. I'm hopeful that my 6 years on the Wrentham School Committee will provide me with perspective and knowledge as we tackle topics such as budget, establishing educational goals and policies, and educating community members' needs.
All right, you're up again. We're going to switch this now to go to Rebecca.
I'm up again.
You're up again.
All right, you guys are going to hear a lot from me tonight.
The first question on Wrentham School Committee and King Philip. Enrollment trends, staffing costs, and special education expenses continue to challenge district statewide. If cuts are necessary due to budget constraints, what would you protect and what would you reduce?
All right. Rebecca Weber writes, as one individual member of the committee, I would have little impact on costs and cuts. However, if I have the honor of being elected to the committee seat, I look forward to working with the business manager, Dr. Cameron, and experienced committee members to approve a budget that best reflects our district's goals. It takes a cooperative team to make impactful changes, and at the end of the day, our main goal as school committee members should be student achievement. I strongly believe that not all children learn the same way, and for those needing extra services, that should be a financial priority.
Great, thank you, Chris. Same question to Larry. Do you need me to read it again, or you?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So first and foremost, one of, if not the primary responsibility of the school committee is to make sure students receive the education that they deserve while respecting taxpayers and ensuring legal compliance. I'll be highly protective of classroom instructions, student support services, and legally required programs such as special education. These are things that have a direct impact on student learning, well-being, all of the above. Before reducing anything, I'm potentially one member of a 5-member committee. It's a collaborative effort. It's a collaborative body. That's kind of the beauty of it. Before considering any reductions, I'd want the committee to look very closely at operations efficiency, purchasing practices, long-term financial planning. Again, one of our most important roles as committee is to make sure that we're using resources given to us as effectively as possible. Mike, the premise behind this very question is kind of one of the main things that got me into this race, the financial planning, the long-term financial planning responsibility aspect of it. My goal will be to make decisions based on data, transparency, and student impact.
Very good. Chris, for Veronica.
All right. Veronica Gonzalez writes, this is,
Yes, question 1.
school budgets reflect what we value most. If reductions become necessary, my priority would be to protect direct student support and classroom learning. That includes core academic instruction, special education services required by law, student mental health resources, and school safety. These are not extras. They are foundational to student success and to maintaining a learning environment where students feel safe, supported, and able to achieve at high level. After working through complex budgets on the Wrentham's Elementary School Committee, I understand that staffing costs make up the majority of a district's budget. Costs in education are rarely simple line item decisions. They impact people, programs, and ultimately students. That's why I believe reductions should be strategic, data-driven, and transparent. I would be very cautious about cuts that significantly increase class sizes, reduce special education compliance and support, or weaken school safety infrastructure. We must also be mindful that King Philip competes with strong private and vocational options in our area. Protecting academic rigor, extracurricular opportunities, and a safe school climate is essential if we want the families to continue choosing KP. And again, this person, Veronica Gonzalez, is running for King Philip School Committee.
Okay, great. And Cynthia.
Okay. Well, we hope that the town budget will cover everything we need for the schools, obviously. But we all know that that doesn't happen all the time. But if there has to be cuts, then as a committee, we would refer back to Alan Cameron, the superintendent, to see what he is recommending after meeting with the other administrators to see where cuts can be made. Obviously, the special education, we need the money there. We need money for the academics. We need to protect class sizes so that the students can get the best education, the education that they deserve. I think as a committee, we would work together to look at what Alan is recommending, ask all the questions that we can to understand where they're coming from as far as the cuts, and come to a consensus among the committee with what would be the best for the school system and really for those students.
And I think that's a good point out for the audience. I believe the superintendent creates and presents the budget, and the
Correct.
school committee approves. So that gives you a little context as to the question and who actually does what in that. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. We're going to move to Larry with question 2. As expectations for student support services and extracurricular activities grow, how do you prioritize programs without overextending resources? We already have one of the highest pay-to-play costs in the area for extracurricular activities.
So prioritizing means having candid conversations, and I would say that right now those conversations are urgent. The state has been phasing in significant funding for the last 7 years. The Student Opportunity Act will reach full implementation next year, and there's no real clear plan for what we should expect next. So my girls do field hockey, Girl Scouts, and softball. Those experiences are shaping who they are, perhaps just as much as what they experience in the classroom. Extracurricular activities, we all love them. They're how students find belonging, build resiliency, and stay engaged in school, academics, all of the above. Support services are required services, and the Wrentham School District has always been very strong in this area, I feel. Our job is to recognize that importance and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to protect these things. There are bills in the legislature right now, from what I understand, that could help close some of the funding gaps that are potentially coming down the pike. I look forward to seeking out and engaging with local leaders to make sure that Wrentham's voice is heard in that process. And at the end of the day, I'll always prioritize a well-rounded educational experience, and of course, making sure that Wrentham has the resources needed to deliver on that.
Very good. This will be for Veronica. Question 2.
Make sure I got this right. All right. Veronica Gonzalez writes, schools today are expected to do more than ever before. They're responsible not only for academics, but also for special education services, mental health support, school safety, athletics, music, clubs, and enrichment. All of these matter, but our budgets are not unlimited. First, we must fully fund what is required and essential, such as special education programs and student support programs. These are not optional. They are legal obligations, and more importantly, they are critical to helping students succeed. At the same time, we must recognize that King Philip already has one of the highest pay-to-play fee structures in the area. As a parent of 3 students in the district, I understand firsthand how quickly those costs add up. We have to be mindful of the burden on families and ensure that fees do not become a barrier to participation, especially because extracurricular activities play a huge role in keeping students connected to school. In our district, where families have private vocational, and alternative school options nearby, strong extracurricular offerings are part of what makes our school competitive and desirable. My approach would be to protect essential student services first, maintain strong opportunities that keep students engaged, advocate for equitable state support through Chapter 70 funding, and make thoughtful, transparent decisions that ensure the district remains financially stable for the long term.
Okay, that was for
Veronica, yep,
Okay.
King Philip.
Same question, Cynthia.
Okay. I don't believe that students at the elementary school pay for the sports, that the after-school basketball or something like that. They do pay for after-school enrichment and summer institute classes. If a class doesn't fill, then that class doesn't run, so that they don't overextend the resources for those classes. There's always scholarships available. If a student really wants to do a class and the parents can't afford it, there are scholarships available that can be tapped into. And if a child is recommended to have support services, those services are provided. The money is there. Those services are provided for those children, especially if it's written up in a plan. It has to be provided. So that isn't something that can be cut for those children. The Chapter 70 funding, the school committee has spoken a lot about that. And Alan's gone and spoken about getting more Chapter 70 funding. Phil has done some work on Chapter 70 funding. So hopefully, eventually, some of that money is going to come back. More money will come back to us to help with all of these kinds of things.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right.
Rebecca.
Rebecca Weber writes, though I think extracurriculars are great for well-rounded development of children, I think the main focus of schools should be the academics. It should be focused on providing the tools necessary to excel in the fundamentals of learning. Because of that, I support focusing resources on student support services where they are needed. Playing sports or joining band are wonderful extracurriculars, but it should be expected that they come at some additional cost and are usually relevant in the higher grades. We are also very fortunate to have a wonderful PTO who helps pay for many additional expenses such as field trips, admission, bus costs, and recorders, to name a few. That was Rebecca Weber.
Okay. Question 3, and this is about communication. So, how would you communicate challenges, decisions to residents, faculty, staff, and students so people better understand the challenges? How would you ensure the message is delivered in a meaningful manner that even those who don't understand or follow school governance could understand? We're going to start with Veronica.
All right. Veronica writes, during my tenure on the Wrentham School Committee, we faced several high-profile and sometimes contentious issues. Throughout the COVID pandemic, we made difficult decisions about remote learning and masking. We navigated heated community discussions regarding GBI policy. We also conducted very public teacher contract negotiations and worked through the detailed multi-year MSBA feasibility process for a potential new school building. In each case, emotions were high and the issues were complex. What I learned is that transparency and consistency matter. It is essential that residents have access to meetings, recordings, written summaries, and clear updates from district leaders so they understand not just the decision, but also the reasoning, constraints, and trade-offs. School policy and finance can be complex, but explanation should be clear and in plain language. If we cannot explain something in a way the average resident understands, then we've not done our job. Breaking down budgets, timelines, and constraints into straightforward terms helps families and residents feel informed rather than overwhelmed. I believe communication should happen across multiple platforms such as public meeting, written summaries, newsletters, and digital updates so that even those who do not closely follow school governance can easily access clear, concise information. That was Veronica Gonzalez.
Great. Okay, Cynthia, same question.
So our school committee meetings are recorded by Cable 8, so they are available after the meetings. They can go onto the Wrentham website and find those meetings and watch them. The faculty and staff have monthly meetings where they find out about the challenges that could be coming up in their meetings. And then if there are challenges with a staff member or students, the administration has one-on-one meetings with them so that they do understand where everything is coming from. The budget hearing is next week on Tuesday at our school committee meeting, so residents and faculty and staff can hear where we're at with the budget, what we're looking for, and again, it will be recorded so that people can watch it afterwards. And every school committee member has an email address, so if anybody had a question and needed clarification, they could email us and ask for clarification, and that can either be answered publicly or, we could answer them if it was something that we as an individual could answer. Sometimes we would have to check with the other members before answering or refer to the chairperson for it.
Okay, very good. And this is for Rebecca.
All right. Rebecca Weber writes, I think unfortunately there is no one-size-fits-all for delivering information to the community. With so many available resources, different people turn to different ones for a variety of reasons or preferences. I believe the chair of the committee or vice chair, in their absence, would be best suited to deliver that information. But all committee members should be trusted to make sure pertinent information is transparently shared at meetings and be available for questions within the community. We owe it to each other to be respectful and approachable for open discussion on topics we may not all agree upon in order to best reflect the community in its entirety. That being said, I don't think it is always clear what the committee handles and what the administrative side is able to assist with, though. I think, as I prepare for these questions, that I have discovered a lot about being a committee member that I didn't know. For these situations, I would happily help direct individuals to the proper channels and follow up to make sure a solution was found. It's a struggle being a parent, especially a new one into elementary, to find a balance of being involved and staying up to date on all the information provided to you with Facebook posts, emails, texts, flyers. It's a lot.
And Larry.
All right. So I think great communication starts with accessibility and availability. I've reached out to a number of people in getting to this point where I'm running for school committee, current members of the committee and others, and the responses have been great, and that's behavior that I would want to emulate if I were to win the race for school committee. I'm always available. I'm always accessible. Again, a lot of this stuff is related, but a lot of people see me at field hockey, softball, in classrooms, at book fairs, and on field trips and things like that. So I'm always available. I'm always actively listening, and I think that's kind of very something that any school committee member would do. I feel like the best way to understand the student experience is to be around it and to listen to others who are also around it, listen to others who might have different opinions on things, but nonetheless are around the same things that you are. I think the town of Wrentham already has a strong foundation. I feel the town website and interdepartment communication are things that the town does really well. As a member of school council, I'm pretty happy to see that our agendas have been on there recently too, for anyone who wants to follow along with the school council goings on. And I'll aim to build on that transparency. My whole line of thought with this question is transparency. I'll aim to build on that, make sure people understand the decisions that are made. If I'm on the school committee, I'll want to make sure people understand every decision that we made and every thought process that went into it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, moving on to question 4. School faculty planning often lags enrollment changes. What early signals should the committee watch to avoid overcrowding or rushed capital decisions? I'm going to move to Cynthia.
Okay. There are enrollment projections that are published that the superintendent looks at, the school looks at, to have an idea of what enrollment could be. And it doesn't just do the next year, it goes out quite a few years. I remember when I was teaching, it was Mick Ginelli that was the superintendent, and he would tell us that next year there's projected to be this many students, and it was amazing to hear, and then it did happen. So there are those projections that are out there, so the school does look at that so that they know what we're going to need. And actually, Alan built his budget around that too, so that he knows projections for next year, how many students there are going to be in each grade level. He knows about how many students they have coming that may need outside placement to build the budget around that. All those projections are out there. Overcrowding, when you have a building of a certain size and you get a lot of students in there could become overcrowding. That's why 2 additions were put on the Delaney School. Now we're looking at that new Roderick School to help with the overcrowding that could Roderick School is full. So we're looking at the new Roderick School for having the room for all of these students.
Thank you, Cynthia. Rebecca. I look at Chris and say these names, but it's really Rebecca. It just seems strange. He does.
All right. Rebecca Weber writes, I think the best thing the committee could do is follow closely and even work with the planning board on upcoming structures and changes. Development takes time, and even though we can't predict the future, we can try our best to plan for it. Take the new Roderick building, for example. With the discussions of condo developments at the old Crosby Valve location for future developments of the MBTA housing, staying connected with the planning board would allow the Roderick Building Committee to implement room for growth in the design. Wrentham is a wonderful place to raise a family, so in planning for the future, now, we allow that it to keep being true for future generations. That's Rebecca Weber.
Okay. And Larry, same question.
So I think that the best decisions that I see people make professionally and personally are proactive decisions as opposed to reactive decisions. So that's the mindset I think you would expect from anyone in any kind of capacity, such as the school committee. Some of the early signs to watch for are building permits, preschool registration, and demographic trends. The good news is, as Cindy alluded to this a little bit just a minute ago, we're already kind of doing a lot of this. When I toured the Roderick building at the end of January, and then when I went to the 2 building committee meetings since then, I was particularly impressed with the fact that the proposal accounts for this. It accounts for the enrollment growth that's expected. And like Cindy said, it's not just 1 or 2 years, it's pretty far out there. It's one thing that stood out to me. That kind of forward thinking, that kind of capital planning, that's what we should expect. That's what we should be accustomed to. That's what we should build on, both literally and figuratively.
Okay, great. Thank you, Larry. And Veronica.
All right. Veronica writes, through my work on the school building committee, I learned that facility planning must be proactive rather than reactive. When a building feels overcrowded, we're already behind. The KP school committee should closely monitor enrollment trends, especially in the early grades across all 3 towns, because those class sizes eventually move up to the middle school and high school. We should also watch housing development and demographic shifts in our towns, as these can signal enrollment changes before they appear in school data. It is also important to review how space is being used within our buildings. If common areas and storage areas are being converted into and repurposed for instruction, that can indicate growth pressures. Thoughtful data-driven planning and regular collaboration with town leadership help avoid rushed decisions and unnecessary strain on taxpayers. The goal should always be in steady planning based on research and clear trend observations, not waiting for a crisis to occur. That's Veronica.
Okay. Very good. The next question is going to be split. So the Wrentham Elementary School candidates, Cynthia, Lawrence, and Rebecca are going to answer those questions, and then we have a different question for Veronica. The question for Wrentham Elementary is, looking ahead 3 to 5 years, what do you think are the biggest challenges and the biggest opportunities? And let's start with Larry.
Well, this one, I have one of each, and I'm optimistic with this. The challenge I see is student mental health. As a softball coach, there's been a lot of instances where we'll almost not quite end practice early, but spend the second half of practice just pretty free form, just to almost give the players a little bit of a mental health break. We're seeing more anxiety, absenteeism. We're seeing more instances where students are there, but not all there emotionally. And this is something that impacts learning, it impacts relationships, it impacts all kinds of things. So thanks to the leadership of our incredible teachers, smart integration of technology continues, and that's where I really see the opportunity. The opportunity is with technology and just forward-looking, particularly using AI for personalized learning. Now, obviously, I'm not a teacher or a technology expert or anything. I would certainly lean on the professionals in this area. But just with personalized learning, consider the example of a student who maybe struggles with reading and consider the benefits of a personalized learning path for that student. Think about someone who is maybe really advanced in math and think about the personalization aspect that could challenge that student, allow that student to keep on learning at their pace, at their proper pace, and just the benefits all around. I think that the more students feel engaged, the more school feels relevant, the better their relationships, the better their mental health. And I will focus very deliberately, very intentionally on these things, making sure that every student feels both challenged and supported.
Okay, great, thank you. Cynthia.
Challenges will always be budget, because that's what runs the school. So that will always be a challenge, not just 5 years from now, forever. But the needs of students, and like Larry said, the mental health of the students, that is a challenge. It's a challenge today. It's going to be a challenge tomorrow. And with this whole AI, that could be a challenge for a teacher working in the classroom. And how do you know what's real that the student has come up with and what has been driven by AI? That's a discussion at the Technology Task Force right now. I'm on that subcommittee, and they are speaking a lot about AI because students are using it, teachers are using it, and to get that the correct usage of it and having students know how you can use it and how you're not able to use it. That will be a challenge moving forward. It will also be an opportunity. It can be both. And a huge opportunity coming up in the future is that new Roderick School, if that gets voted in. Hopefully it will, because that just has so much for the students, so much room, so much growth. The areas that the students need, that's a huge opportunity coming up.
Good, Cynthia. The question for KP and Veronica is a little different.
You want to close out this one first?
Oh, she answered that one, didn't she?
No, I didn't read that.
Oh, okay. This is still question 4?
Yes.
Okay.
No, this is question 5, but it's for Rebecca. Looking ahead 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Yep. So I'm going to end up going twice here, but the first question is for the Wrentham School Committee, same question that was asked over here about 3 to 5 years, challenges and opportunities. This is Rebecca Weber, and she writes, touching again on the new Roderick building, I think this is truly our biggest opportunity to invest in a strong foundation for our youth. The new structure will provide a better updated space to create an improved environment for learning, which would follow along with the main goal of the committee, student achievement. However, on the other hand, I also see this build as one of our biggest challenges. It is important to maintain a realistic budget while also planning for the future student expansion and investing in student safety. I think this will prove to be a challenging task, but one that is well worth it. Lastly, as with every year, I think budget is unfortunately always going to be a challenge. We are all passionate about different aspects of our education system, and unfortunately, we do not have an endless supply of money to invest in it all. I think this emphasizes the importance of the committee being able to work alongside a hardworking superintendent and devoted principals to be able to best balance financial priorities while keeping the best interest of the students. All right. And the last question.
You can do the question and the answer.
All right. Okay. Okay, so this question is specific to the King Philip School Committee. How would you balance Wrentham's interest in those of the other member towns when regional priorities or budget pressures differ, specifically within the regional agreement? Veronica writes, while I live in Wrentham, a school committee member's responsibility in a regional district is to the success of the entire district, not one town. It is of the utmost importance to ensure that costs, representation, and decision-making are structured in an equitable and transparent manner. When priorities or budget pressures differ, the focus should return to 3 things. What is best for students across all towns, what is consistent with the regional agreement, and what is fiscally responsible for taxpayers in each community. Open communication with town leadership in all three communities is essential. My approach would be to listen carefully, respect the structure of the regional agreement, and to work towards solutions that protect educational quality while maintaining fairness among Wrentham, Norfolk, and Plainville. That's Veronica.
Very good. So since you're here, do you want to have a closing statement that people may or may not have heard what you are all about, or what you have for a position on any topic? So Cynthia, I'll start with you.
As I said at the beginning, I've been on the committee now for about a year and a half, just shy of a year and a half. I've enjoyed collaborating with the other school committee members. It was a tough beginning of the school year with contract negotiations, but we got through that. And I just would like to continue this journey for the next 3 years.
Great, thank you.
So there's two perspectives. There's my perspective and your perspective. And from my perspective, the reason I'm running is because the care I have, the connection I have, the involvement I have. The reason it's beneficial to you is because of the background, the skills, and the commitment. So I have the background, the skills, and the commitment to immediately make an impact, immediately be an impactful member of the school committee.
Great. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Cynthia, Larry. Thanks to Rebecca and Veronica for putting those statements together and doing that work, even though they couldn't be here. And special thanks to Chris, who offered up to read all that. So
Thank you to the Wrentham Public School System for teaching me how to read. All right. Select Board. You're up.
I was getting comfy over there.
that means Planning Board will be shortly thereafter. Get yourselves ready.
We're like right on schedule. Like
Are we?
Perfectly on schedule, yes.
By the penny, huh?
By the penny.
All right. You set? You good?
I am
Is it-
set. I'm
there is a-
ready to roll.
There's a microphone there. If you don't feel like sitting, you want to stand,
okay,
that's
I'll
fine. As many of you know, Select Board Member Rouse is the Vice Chairman, current member of the Select Board, so thank her for her service. And it's okay if I call you Michelle? Michelle?
Yes, it's perfectly
Please,
fine.
versus Mrs.
Very
Rouse. Ms.
casual.
Rouse. So, Michelle, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long
Sure.
you've been in town?
Sure.
Personal and business experience, and then why you chose to run for the
Sure.
the Select Board.
First, thank you, Mike, Chris, and Lauren, who's not here this evening, and Amanda for this opportunity to speak to the residents. I think my story is very similar to many others. Wrentham has been home to my family for 28 years. When my husband and I were looking, we were going up the 495 corridor and happened to go through Wrentham Center and immediately felt like this is where we belonged. The charm drew us in at first, but it's the people that made us stay. And we raised our 3 children here, and this town certainly helped shape our family. Professionally, my background is in human resources management. That experience led me to 8 years on the Wrentham School Committee, where I also served as vice chair. I have also had the privilege of working, being a part of the Wrentham Housing Authority, and as the vice chair there as well, Capital Planning Committee as a liaison, and participating in many town management search committees. I'm running again for the Select Board because I care deeply about this community, its people, its character, and its future. I believe in thoughtful leadership, respectful dialogue, and making decisions grounded in common sense. I'm proud of the work that we've done, and I would be honored to continue serving the community because Wrentham isn't just where I live, it's home.
All right, thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
So you've been a Select Board member for several years now.
Yep.
What has been your biggest surprise?
Yep.
And follow up with that, Your biggest
Biggest
challenge.
So I think the biggest surprise on the select board was truly how broad the responsibility is. Before serving on the select board, like I mentioned, I had other board experience. I thought I was well prepared, and I was quickly humbled that I wasn't. The experience helped, but serving on the board quickly showed me there was just another level to it. I realized how important it was to stay engaged, be asking questions, listening carefully, and understand how each decision connects to the bigger picture. Many of the choices we make don't just affect one area, it's a ripple effect through all of our infrastructure and services in town. Another surprise was how often our board has to pivot and respond to unexpected challenges. The select board has to be prepared to address issues thoughtfully, decisively, with moments that require collaboration, steady leadership, and a clear focus on protecting our long-term stability. So that was my biggest surprises. I think the biggest challenge, may not be a surprise here to anyone, would have to be navigating the MBTA's Communities Act. It was a very complex issue that affected the entire town. When the mandate was introduced, we made a conscious decision, our board, to pause, to take the time to fully understand what it meant for Wrentham. The state was requiring communities like our own to zone for the potential development of approximately 750 multifamily units, while providing no additional funding to support infrastructure and growth that it would require. That raised some really difficult questions, and at times emotional questions. How do we respond to a state mandate while protecting local control? How do we consider the impacts on our schools, on traffic, roads, public safety? And how do we preserve the long-term character of our town while remaining eligible for important state funding? There were no easy answers. It required careful consideration, listening to residents, weighing competing priorities, and making decisions that will affect Wrentham not just for today, but for years to come. And this challenge was not a quick issue either. It was complex, a 2-year process that required a tremendous amount of focus and thoughtful discussion. It was certainly challenging, but it was also the kind of work that truly matters. Steady, thoughtful leadership, making difficult decisions, and keeping the long-term health of our community at the center of those choices.
Very good. Thank you, Michelle. Wrentham continues to balance residential growth with preservation of its small town character. How do you evaluate whether current policies are achieving that balance, and what kind of changes if they're not?
So responsible controlled growth while maintaining our small town character has always been a priority for me and for the fellow select board members. It has also been a central focus of our strategic plan that we worked on this year. I believe growth should be thoughtful and balanced. That means making sure any residential development fits in with our conservation goals, protects the character of our neighborhoods, and doesn't overburden town services or infrastructure. When done responsibly, controlled growth can allow more families to enjoy living in this wonderful community while still preserving what makes Wrentham special. As I just stated, many of you know it was no secret how I felt about the MBTA Communities mandate. We fought hard on this issue all the way to the Supreme Judicial Court because we believed it represented a significant level of state overreach into our small town. At the same time, we had to make responsible decisions for the town. Ultimately, we chose the path that protects our taxpayers, keeps Wrentham eligible for important state funding, and allows us to maintain what local control we can for how the future growth happens. For me, this is what leadership requires: standing up for our community, but also making thoughtful decisions that protect Wrentham's future while preserving the character that we value.
Maybe a follow-up to that, Michelle, is what is your vision of Community Preservation Committee monies?
So when it comes to the CPC, I believe strongly in maintaining a thoughtful, balanced approach. These funds were designed to support several important priorities in our town: historical, open space, recreation, the Affordable Housing Authority. I think it's important that no single area consistently dominates at the expense of others. The strength of the CPC program is that it allows us to invest in the character and quality of life in Wrentham in many different ways. That balance is what makes the program so valuable to the community. As we move forward, I would like to see the CPC prioritize bringing projects to the town that can be fully funded with the resources currently available when possible. When projects require the town to take on additional debt, it can limit our ability to support other important initiatives down the road and reduces our long-term flexibility of the program. By staying focused on balance, fiscal responsibility, and thoughtful planning, we can ensure these funds can continue to support a wide range of meaningful projects. Because at the end of the day, the CPC funds belong to the residents of Wrentham, and our responsibility is to steward those resources in a way that benefits the entire community, both today and for generations to come.
Great, thank you. Okay, question 3. Capital planning often focuses budget trade-offs between infrastructure, public safety, schools, and town services. What principles would guide your recommendation at town meeting when priorities compete?
Chris, do you have anyone you need to speak for? Because it's like boom, boom, boom on these questions.
All you for this one.
You can take a break for a second.
No, everyone's
It's
going to be
fine.
tired of hearing from me. Listen, capital planning always has its trade-offs. When priorities compete, my guiding principle is to consider the impact of all of our residents, our seniors, our veterans, our young families, our established families, our local businesses. Each decision needs to be looked at carefully. I believe we have to think about how it affects public safety, quality of our schools, the stability of our infrastructure, and ultimately the tax burden on residents. We should be always asking a few simple but important questions. Is it essential? Is it sustainable? Is it equitable? But most importantly, is it the right decision for the town as a whole? Being fiscally responsible doesn't simply mean saying no. It means taking the time to understand the issue, ask the questions, and make sure that when we say yes, it's a decision we can stand behind, not just for the short term, but for the long term. Approving spending can sometimes be the easy part. The real responsibility is making thoughtful, balanced decisions that protect affordability while continuing to invest in the services and infrastructure our community depends on. That's the approach I believe best serves Wrentham today and well into the future.
I'm going to pause for a second.
Thank you.
Okay, looking ahead 3 to 5 years, and I'm going to shorten this one. What do you think the biggest risk to Wrentham's financial or operational sustainability is?
I mean, looking ahead, we do have some real budget pressures. The new Roderick Elementary School is going to be coming to town vote. We have the managing the cost of the Tri-County Vocational School. There's continued uncertainty around state funding and reduction in aid that ultimately puts pressure on our local taxpayers. At the same time, I'm very mindful of what families are dealing with each and every day. The rising costs of groceries, electricity, rent, mortgages. It's not easy right now. And that reality is also part about how I think about our town decisions. That's why the Select Board and myself consistently focus on fiscal responsibility. You hear it in our meeting discussions and see it reflected in our strategic plan. We are working to encourage thoughtful, controlled growth and to attract more businesses to Wrentham. A stronger commercial base helps us maintain a fair balance between residential and business taxes that helps to keep the tax rate as low as possible. Our goal is simple. Keep Wrentham affordable while continue to provide excellent services our community relies on. Moving forward, that means staying focused on long-range financial planning, being business-friendly, supporting smart, responsible residential growth, early planning, and steady, consistent decision-making are the best way to avoid budget crisis, not just today, but well into the future.
And the last question is really, and I'm gonna give you kind of the context of what Wrentham, the Town of Wrentham Candidate Forum is all about, is we're really trying to build better engagement within the town. We want more people to come out to these kinds of forums. We want people to come out and put their name in the hat for different positions that are open, and we want people to come out and vote more. Have people come to town meeting and vote. When we go to a town meeting, we've got 11,000 plus or minus people in the town, and we see a very small fraction of that. So one of the key ideas here was, let's build engagement within the town, and this was one way that we thought we could do this. So along that line, Michelle, what do you see as the select board's role in improving transparency and resident engagement outside of town meeting session?
So I positioned this a little bit different in terms of like what myself and my fellow board members have been doing this past year that I believe has made meaningful progress and strengthening in both of these areas. I think every resident deserves access to information that affects them and this town. While social media and website updates are helpful to tools, we recognize that true transparency can't rely on those alone. Real communication requires more opportunities for people to connect and to share information directly. One thing that we started this year with the select board is that we intentionally are inviting different commissions and committees to our board meetings. It gives them the opportunity to share what they're doing, their initiatives, their success, how they're functioning. It's been a great partnership in terms of understanding what's been going on. I think it's been great for us select board members and from different residents that have remarked about it. And I think that that partnership and awareness is spectacular. It's also been a wonderful reminder of how blessed and fortunate we are to have so many dedicated people within this town to offer these services to all the residents. So that's one thing that we did another thing that we did to increase that communication. Another simple thing that we did is that we made the decision to start posting any sort of committee, commission, board openings on our website. Before, it was more word of mouth. Now we're consistently posting that. So that is, people are able to see, able to apply for those positions, and we have seen an increase in participation and a lot of new faces that have been joining these different boards and committees and commissions. I think that you may have noticed on Route 1, that nice billboard, part of the contract negotiations was to get some free advertising for the town of Wrentham. So we grabbed that and used it, and you can see us advertising things from the Christmas tree lighting to celebrating KP football, to town meetings, to the Roderick informational session. So another opportunity to get the word out as you're driving on Route 1 has been a great example of how we've increased in communication. But what I truly believe defines engagement and transparency is simply being present. I think myself and I can speak for my fellow select board members, we don't attend community events because we have to. We go because we want to. Whether it's celebrating, the Christmas tree lighting or the holly wreath laying or Veterans Day breakfast or the Memorial Day parade or a police or fire promotion, those moments matter, and it can even be a conversation at someone at Cumbies or the post office. Because at the end of the day, the best communication still happens face to face. Those conversations are where the most open, honest, and connected happen. And that connection is truly what strengthens our communication and transparency in this community.
Very good. I know you want to say some more.
I
so
do.
I'm going to offer you.
Hey, I worked on this. I have my notes.
One more opportunity if there was something that we didn't ask that you want to share.
I think I'll just give you my closing remarks. Wrentham is a very special town because of its history, its character, and most importantly, its people. Like many of you, my family has benefited from our strong schools, our safe neighborhoods, our dedicated public servants, and our neighbors who truly look out for one another. Serving on the select board has been a tremendous honor. During my first term, we accomplished a lot together. From revitalizing the Sweat Park with improved accessibility and new pickleball courts, to transforming the former center school lot into a modern downtown parking area that supports our local businesses and communities. We've also continued to pass balanced budgets despite rising costs and reduced state aid while still investing in our town. And of course, we had the great opportunity to celebrate Wrentham's 350th anniversary, a meaningful reminder of our history and the shared responsibility we all have to care for the future of this community. We know there are challenges ahead, but with thoughtful planning, respectful dialogue, and strong fiscal discipline, I'm confident that Wrentham will continue to thrive. I'm excited about what lies ahead, and I'd be honored to continue serving this community. I respectfully ask for your vote and your continued trust. Thank you again for this opportunity this evening.
Thank you, Michelle. Planning Board. So for Planning Board, this is, we have Chuck Woodhams and Rob English. 2 openings, 2 people. We'll keep time on them. They only get 1 to 2 minutes per answer. I've been members of the Planning Board with them for many years, and we can talk. We can all talk.
That's what we do.
I'm good.
All right. Yeah.
And I think we're pretty much on time. So maybe you get 30 seconds a question. So could you give us a little bit about yourself? You heard the question about what you do, or what you, why you're on the planning board, and what you bring to experience, and why you joined.
Would you like to go first, Mr. English?
I'm happy to go first or last or not. So, first of all, thanks to everyone here, because it's an effort to get out here, and it's iced up so badly now that you won't get out. So, I'll be talking for a few hours. An introductory level, we've lived in Wrentham for 28 years. We moved here after 15 years in Franklin. We left Franklin because we could see on the writing on the wall of what Franklin, where they were going and what was happening. And so, and you drive through Franklin and you just see these really inappropriate buildings, apartment buildings. But that's where we are. You can't afford to buy a house, which is another discussion. So, most of these people want to be close to the train if they're hopping to Boston, and the infrastructure that is within Franklin. I happen to like the infrastructure in Wrentham. So we've been very happy here. I live at 1351 West Street. We had bought the property and developed it for horses. I'm thankfully out of the horse business. So that's like hooking your wallet to a shop vac. So, I mean, it's right there. But 28 years in town. I joined the planning board as a write-in 3 years ago because I was horrified that we've got this great community and there are 2 open seats with nobody running. And I'm like, how's that even possible? Does nobody care? So I was a late entry as a write-in and managed to get somebody to vote for me. So that would be my introduction.
Thank you. Mr. Wood.
Thank you. My name's Chuck Woodhams. I am a lifelong resident of Wrentham. I'm actually 4th generation. The house I grew up in was originally bought by my great-grandparents. Frank Dunlap was my great-grandfather. He was a longtime town clerk. My paternal grandfather, John Woodhams, was an original member of the first planning board in Wrentham when the Zoning Act first passed. Mm. So my roots go very deep in this town. Got on the planning board in 2001, ran for 1 term, decided I didn't have the time to put into it properly. So I did not run for re-election, and then in 2016 I was appointed to fill an unexpired term, and I've run for re-election 3 times since then. I'm staying on the board because I think we've still got some great opportunities in this town. We've got some exciting developments on the horizon, one of which was something that I said back in 2016 when I was appointed, when they said, what do you see as a priority in this town? And I said, developing the center of town, because that is the heartbeat of Wrentham, is the center of town. It's our focal point. We want to make sure that whatever gets built there is something that we're all going to be proud of and that we can live with for the next 50, 100 years, because we want that to be something that the town supports, and we did a lot of work to get to the point where we got town support behind that. So now I just want to see that through during my time on the board.
Great. Okay. We'll go back to Mr. English. Or Rob.
Yes, Mr.
Or
McKnight.
Rob, as we know him.
Starts with an R, ends with a B.
All
in
right.
the middle.
So, Rob, you've been a member of the planning board for several years now. What have been your biggest surprise And what do you find has been the biggest challenge?
Well, surprise none, because I had no expectations coming in. So everything coming at me is new. So I didn't really have any surprises. Challenges are, it's like the guy with the saucers on the stick. You're running from stick to stick to keep them up because you're trying to balance so many different pieces of this. And you're trying to keep everybody happy. And for me, one of the things, 40 years in the chemical business, most of it focused in public works, chemistry for snow, ice, and water. I don't want to outrun our infrastructure. That's my biggest concern. And that may not have been the question you asked, but I think our newest well is 40 years old. And they have a lifespan. And it's pretty close to 40 years, and the rest of them are older. So I worry that if we allow things to evolve in such a way that we overrun our resources, that's going to create problems for everybody in town. And for downtown, septic, I mean, we're really in a tight spot there as a community. How do you solve that? I'm not sure. But, you know, as things come up, we've got this proposal coming for Kendrick Street. I think it'll be interesting. One of the things I want to see, and I've been vocal about it, I'm not hiding from it, I would like to see them, they're going to have to construct a wastewater treatment plant for their development. I'd like to see that big enough to handle the businesses downtown on that side of the road. And have that, not asking them to do anything but size it for that. Then if somebody wants to annex and get in it, great. But back to the comment from Chuck about downtown, and when we had the candidates forum on the Common, I stood there and I said, "This is it. This look around, look at this community and the history here, and there aren't a lot of places that have still been preserved in that town common way, you know, without having problems and development around it." So I think the challenges are it's a balancing act. I mean, back to the spin and saucers. It's a balancing act to
It's a good analogy.
try to keep everybody happy. I got another one. I'm a juggler, juggling 10 balls, but I'm only focused on the ones closest to the floor. So,
Thank you, Rob. Chuck, same question to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go at it in reverse order, the challenge. And to repeat what Michelle said, to me, in the time that I've been on the board, the biggest challenge was the MBTA communities.
oh God, yes.
That was something that fell hard on the planning board. You know, like we had not only full board meetings, but was part of the subcommittee that met endless number of times. We had so many meetings over this, and it was really something that we had been talking about. It'd been on our radar for almost 4 years. I remember when it was first mentioned that it had been passed, but nobody could tell us what the rules were going to be or what we needed to do. We just needed to do it. And so there was a lot of hurry up and wait until we heard from the state. And then when we finally heard from the state, it was like, okay, here's what you got to do, and here's when you have to have it done. So it was a big challenge to try to look at the town, figure out where we thought that it would be appropriate to place something like this, but not too much of an enticement to place it. You know, we looked at something like 20 parcels of land throughout the town. And even then, you know, we made a choice for the first vote and then changed it up for the second vote because of feedback we had gotten from people. And my biggest surprise that I took out of all of that was we were so involved and we seemed like we were getting a lot of feedback from the public. But then I came to a forum down here a month before the first vote, and there were people who had no idea about it. It was like it was new to them, and it brought it out in stark relief to me that what I thought we were doing well as far as communication was not what I thought. And that that's one of the things that I feel strongly that I would really like to work on in the next 3 years is fostering the communication to the townspeople so that they know what's going on, being we're fully transparent. Everything is right out in the open, but, we've got all sorts of sources. We have a tremendous land use office with a great staff, and we really want to encourage people to go to them to get information, to attend our meetings, and to really be involved. And that's one of the things that I would like to work on.
Okay, very good. I'm going to stay with you for question 2. So Wrentham reviews its comprehensive master plan every 10 years. What changes in housing, transportation, or land use do you think deserve more attention in the next update?
I think the biggest single thing is going to be housing. Certainly is a challenge in Wrentham, and one of the biggest challenges is balancing the character of the town, what we've always known it to be, with the fact that you're not able to build affordable housing much anymore because of the cost of land, the cost of all of that. And the only real way to accommodate that would be to do some kind of higher density housing than what's what we allow. But the difference between something like the MBTA communities and Wrentham doing it on our own is that we would control it. We can do higher density housing now. It doesn't have to be to the degree that the state wants it to be. And it could be done under special permit so that we would maintain the control. And the downtown zoning is a perfect example of that. There's higher density allowed in that area, but it's not as high as what would have been mandated by the MBTA. And it's special permit, so we control it. We can call the shots on it. And there is also a program that the state has called Chapter 40Y, which is to allow starter home zoning districts. And it's something that the town could adopt. They could choose where they put it. They could choose how big they want to make it. And it would allow for smaller properties, smaller homes, but it would make them theoretically more affordable for first-time home buyers and that kind of thing. Because you don't get starter homes in Wrentham anymore when a minimum acre lot is $300,000 plus. It's just impossible.
Great. Same question.
Would you repeat the question for me,
I
please?
certainly will. Wrentham reviews its comprehensive master plan every 10 years. What changes in housing, transportation, or land use do you think deserve more attention in the next update?
We have a ways to go before the next update, and it's an evolving process. So I'm not going to try to predict future changes at this point because we have a lot of projects before us right now. And so I guess adhere to the master plan until such time as there's sufficient desire to adjust it.
Okay, and just to follow on to what was this last question,
Yep.
It has to do with addressing housing affordability with preserving Wrentham's character. So that's in the discussion around how do you manage the town, the bylaw, how do you manage against the master plan. But it's really around managing housing affordability, but keeping town character. So Rob, stay with that question.
Well, I don't know how the planning board is going to affect housing affordability. I mean, if we get some funding that comes in for first-time home buyers, things like that, it doesn't affect us directly, at least not to my thinking. So affordability is a huge problem. I mean, if you can go through line workers at the DPW, people in the cafeteria at the school, the lowest paid employees in the town, they can't afford to live here. I mean, they can't afford to live here. And some of them have been here long enough that they can continue to shoulder the burden. But affordability is tough. And, houses are $1 million. And I've got 2 adult children. And if you're a first-time home buyer, what are you going to buy in Wrentham? It's very, very difficult. And I don't know how the planning board can really impact that. That has to come from a different direction in my mind, unless there's something I'm missing.
Okay, thank you. Chuck, how would you answer that?
Again, kind of circling back to what I had, guess I sort of put the cart before the horse with my answer the last time. I think there are some options that the town can pursue, but I listening to Rob, it's true. There's only so much we can do as a planning board. We can zone for it to allow for certain things in certain areas if the town feels that it's appropriate. But I know at one point we were talking about, I think, with somebody on the master plan, a consultant that had been brought in to talk to the planning board. The largest employer in the town is Wrentham Outlets. And the people that work at Wrentham Outlets cannot afford to live in Wrentham. So virtually all of the labor that works at Wrentham Outlets has to come from outside. And I don't know what the solution is, but that is an issue, and it's something it's a collaborative. It's going to take a collaborative effort on many parts to try to solve it.
Okay. Last question, and we'll wrap up. So we're pretty much on time. How would you weigh private development proposals against long-term community impacts such as traffic, environmental strain, and town services?
Well, there's one thing you have to remember is there's two types of development that we're talking about: commercial and residential. Residential. One of the surprises to me with when I came on planning is planning board does not have the power to deny a residential subdivision if it meets the requirements of the subdivision rules and regulations. As long as it's a standard subdivision and they meet the requirements, we are not permitted to say no. So we have to look at any residential developments in the scope of what meets those requirements, what's best for the town. But we don't have a lot of control to say, no, we don't think it's appropriate, unless it's something that's under a special permit, like an open space preservation. As far as commercial, we want to encourage commercial. It needs to be the right kind of commercial in the right area. We don't want to put a business in the center of town that's more appropriate to Route 1. But there are a lot of opportunities. We're seeing more and more going out on Route 1, which helps reduce the tax burden for the residents. And even the development in the center of town is mixed use, so it'll be some smaller housing, which hopefully won't impact services as much, with commercial use, with the envision of it being a walkable center of town. You could theoretically live there and have all your services done within walking distance.
Okay. And Rob, how would you weigh private development proposals against long-term community impacts such as traffic, environmental strain, and town services?
Well, for the people that don't know how the planning board works, we hire professional consultants to review these plans, including traffic consultants, at the applicant's expense. So we act in reliance on the traffic study first, I think, as long as we feel that we're not being gaslit. So you just have to be thoughtful and say, I don't know about this. And I know there's a lot of the Kendrick Street property, Crosby Valley, thorny. The MBTA bylaw, thorny. Hard to do. No matter what you did, somebody was going to be unhappy. That's pretty much every decision that the board delivers, is that one of the parties will not be happy with the decision. So I think to continue to listen carefully to professional opinions and analysis by engineers and traffic studies, that's how we get to the end point.
Great. Thank you for that. Any closing statements? Rob, we'll start with you.
Goodbye.
And Chuck?
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead.
I'm very passionate about Wrentham. I mean, I grew up rural and, missed it. And I watched Franklin just kind of like this with development. I'm like, well, it wasn't like that when we first moved there. And so we were there about 12 years before we moved here 28 years ago. So time flies when you're having fun. But we just want to make sure that we don't let it run away. So that would be my thought. What did I miss?
No, nothing.
Your
You
turn.
did beautiful.
It's a good thing it's not a contested race.
It is now.
No, I hear Mr. English talk about being here for 28 years, and I think, newcomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to be clear, I'm the guy living in Jack Cowley's house.
Jack Cowley's house,
Right,
exactly. You'll
so-
never live in, yes.
Townies
exactly.
will recognize that. Probably
No,
most of the people won't.
Like I said at the beginning, my roots go very deep in this town, and I've seen a lot of changes. Some of them have been good, some of them not been as good. Growth is inevitable. My goal is to make sure that the growth still maintains the character of the town that I grew up in and that I love. That's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Run, Tony, run.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to give some thanks. We had a committee that was put together. I want to thank those 3 members, the manager, Amanda Vasapola, sitting over here, Chris Flung, who did multiple things, including many of the questions he started to put those together, and obviously he read the 2 statements tonight, so thank him. And Lauren White. Lauren White could not be here for a previous engagement, but she was instrumental in keeping the committee together. A big thanks to the candidates. If they could all just stand for a minute, we give them an applause. Rob, sit down. You can keep sitting. You can keep standing if you want. In the audience, whether you were here and came out on a night that was raining and didn't look all that nice, or those that are going to view on Cable 8, thank you. We need more town participation. We need more people coming out and showing interest. You are what the town is all about, bringing together your thoughts and opinions. We've got those for the questions and also for having you sit here. I'm going to put Mike King on the spot for a minute. He's our leader of this thing. He put the group together, but I want to see if you had any closing statements you wanted. And if he doesn't have to.
Was it deer in headlights now? You know, on behalf of town administration and the select board, I would like to thank everybody for attending tonight. This was a select board initiative that the select board tasked me with, and I'm thankful for the committee that agreed to join and help out. It was absolutely a team effort that took several months of planning, and you can see the conclusion this evening was a very successful event. So again, thank you everyone for attending, and we look forward to continuing to work on this and refining this candidates forum. So thank you.
Thank you. Some coffee and water, and if some of the candidates you can catch on the way out, otherwise we're completed. So thank you, and give us your feedback. Appreciate it.